Good morning. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the most important news stories from the United States and around the world. So grab a coffee, sit back, and let's get started with today's top headlines. From the United States, leading our report today, President Biden is hosting what's being described as a make-or-break meeting at the White House with the Big Four congressional leaders: Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, House Speaker Mike Johnson, and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, with the Friday midnight deadline looming to pass a stopgap spending bill. The negotiations are at a critical juncture. The main obstacles remain additional funding for border security measures, which Republicans are demanding, and military aid for Ukraine, which the White House insists must be included. A failure to reach an agreement would result in the first partial government shutdown since 2019, furloughing hundreds of thousands of federal workers and disrupting key services just before the holiday season. In crucial economic news, the Labor Department is releasing the October Consumer Price Index report at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Market analysts are predicting a modest 0.1% monthly increase and a 3.3% annual rate, down from September's 3.7%. However, the core CPI, which excludes volatile food and energy prices, is expected to remain stubbornly high at 4.1% annually. This report comes at a particularly sensitive moment, following yesterday's better-than-expected producer price index data. Federal Reserve officials have indicated they need to see several consecutive months of declining inflation before considering rate cuts, making today's data point crucial for setting monetary policy through year-end. Shifting to technology and legal affairs, a federal district court judge in Montana has issued a preliminary injunction blocking the state's first-in-the-nation TikTok ban just hours before it was set to take effect. In a 30-page ruling, Judge Donald Malloy wrote that the law likely violates the First Amendment and oversteps state power. The decision represents a significant victory for TikTok, which has been fighting multiple legal battles across the country. The Montana Attorney General's office has already announced it will appeal the ruling, setting the stage for a potentially landmark case that could eventually reach the Supreme Court. And in environmental news, the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration has confirmed a significant leak in the Colonial Pipeline system near Houston, Texas. Early estimates suggest approximately 5,000 barrels of crude oil have spilled into a sensitive wetland area that serves as a crucial habitat for migratory birds. Environmental cleanup crews are deploying containment booms and skimmers, but officials say heavy rains in the forecast could complicate recovery efforts. This incident marks the third significant pipeline leak in the Texas region this year, raising fresh concerns about the aging energy infrastructure that transports nearly 3 million barrels of fuel daily across the southern United States. Now, let's turn our attention to the top stories from around the globe. Our lead international story comes from the United Kingdom, where the Office for National Statistics has confirmed the economy contracted by 0.2% in the third quarter, following a 0.1% decline in the previous quarter. This places the UK in a technical recession and marks the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic that the economy has shrunk for 2 consecutive quarters. The data shows particular weakness in the manufacturing and construction sectors, with high interest rates and reduced consumer spending continuing to drag on growth. The news represents a significant blow to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who had made economic growth one of his 5 key promises for the year. Over in Europe, French President Emmanuel Macron has begun a 3-day state visit to Brazil, his first trip to South America's largest economy. The visit signals a major reset in relations after years of tension between Macron and former President Jair Bolsonaro over Amazon deforestation. Macron and current Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva are expected to announce a €1 billion green investment partnership focused on sustainable development in the Amazon region. The two leaders will also visit the Amazon rainforest itself, where they're scheduled to launch joint scientific research initiatives and meet with indigenous leaders who are on the front lines of conservation efforts. In the Middle East, the fragile truce between Israel and Hamas has entered its 5th day, with both sides reportedly considering a proposal to extend the pause in fighting for an additional 3 days. Egyptian and Qatari mediators are working to negotiate the release of more hostages and prisoners. Meanwhile, the United Nations reports that 258 trucks entered Gaza yesterday, the largest single-day delivery of humanitarian supplies since the war began. However, UN officials emphasize that this represents only about 15% of what's needed daily, with the territory facing severe shortages of food, clean water, and medical supplies. Moving to Asia, Japanese electronics conglomerate Sony has announced a strategic $100 million partnership with AI research company Cerebras Systems. The collaboration will focus on developing specialized neural processing units designed specifically for training large language models and other advanced AI applications. This move positions Sony to challenge established AI chipmakers like NVIDIA and represents Japan's most significant entry yet into the global AI hardware race. The first chips from this partnership are expected to launch in late 2025, with initial applications in Sony's gaming division and imaging technology businesses. And finally, in Argentina, President Javier Milei is confronting his first major political crisis as tens of thousands of protesters fill the streets of Buenos Aires and other major cities. The demonstrations, organized by labor unions and social movements, are protesting the president's mega decree that eliminates rent controls, privatizes state enterprises, and reduces subsidies. Police have used tear gas and water cannons to disperse crowds near the presidential palace, while opposition lawmakers are preparing legal challenges to what they call Milei's unconstitutional power grab. The protests represent the strongest challenge yet to the libertarian president's radical economic overhaul just 3 weeks into his administration. That's all for today's comprehensive news coverage, folks. Stay informed, stay safe, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next update. See you tomorrow for another round of important news.